Hello, Internet. It's John Bundy, and something a bit different today. Yes, I have my glasses on, I know, but back before I started YouTube, back during it actually started before lockdown, but I started getting into tabletop RPGs like, Dungeons and Dragons, Cyberpunk, Shadowrun, and Star Trek Adventures as well. And when I started doing YouTube, they started petering off just because I found I had less time for them. Ironic considering how many videos I make, but it's more a case of doing, because I was the dungeon master or the games master, but I would run the sessions. People asked if I wanted to be a player, but I, because of like family commitments, in 2019 my eldest was born, and like mostly make it work. But it's just I felt didn't want to commit as a player when I knew it would be difficult to be able to keep to a schedule. When I'm the games master, and I felt less bad about it because it's like, well, I'm running the session, I'm creating it all, so you have to deal with the fact that I'm not there. But I've got like a spare hour before I do the school run. It's absolutely miserable outside, and I'm not in the mood to actually play a computer game. So when I saw it being advertised, there's a Kickstarter coming up soon, but they were advertised in the quick start for a game from Japan. So apparently they're one of their most popular tabletop RPGs, which has never been officially released in English before. So they've done a quick start. For those who don't know, a quick start is a free, low page count kind of introduction to the game, because the books themselves could sometimes be like, say, £20 upwards. I mean, when they first release, you can only get the PDFs cheaply when they go on sale. But so it's a way to get people to try the product and see if they like it before they buy it. Now, normally you would need to have a group of people to do this with, but when I took a quick look through the Sword World one, they actually had a solo adventure, which said around about for half an hour. We'll see if this works within my time constraints. And so I thought, well, give it a try, because I've had the itch to like do another game, but again, it's just time commitments, and like usually it tends to be like 2 hours in the evening, and usually like, yeah, okay, I've successfully run several campaigns doing that kind of structure, but usually once you kind of you're getting into it, then you have to kind of stop, because it's like, well, it's time for bed. If I want to not be like completely exhausted for the next day, or because my kids get up in the night, or the dog decides to bark and like need to go out, things like that. Anyway, so the game in question, Sword World. So what I'll do is I'm going to make we're going to run through the adventure together, the solo one, to see what it's like. And it requires two dice, or because in tabletop RPGs there tend to be lots of different types of dice. I have physical ones, but just to be fair, I've got a dice roller on the web browser so that you can see the results and know that I'm not fluffing it. So let's take a look, and here we go. Now then, apologies if I have to clear my throat a lot of the time, mostly over like my cough and cold, but there's still like a bit of like in the throat of like having to clear it, so I'll try not to do that too much. So yes, by the way, you can get from Drive-Thru RPG for free. Just look for Sword World, and yeah, so you can see here solo adventure, and I must admit I do like the artwork for this, and it's showing off like the history of it. This is like the first releases they did, or like the first release, and I think maybe the 25th anniversary, over 35 years of gameplay refinement. So yada yada yada, welcome to Sword World. Thank you for interest in Sword World, for taking time to explore this one-shot scenario and rules preview, yada 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 yada. I'm not gonna, like, I've never played this game before, so I'm not gonna go into, oh, is it better than D&D or other systems? I do not know that. I'm just here to run the adventure, which starts on this page. Also, spoilers if you were looking to do this, but they've also got an adventure for a proper group. I'm not going to run that because I'm on my own. So what you have to do is you have to read the book text. Become an adventurer. You have come here to become an adventurer, so it's time to register with Rosso. New adventurers are always welcome. To become an adventurer, all you need is courage, wisdom, and a few useful skills, and the money to equip yourself with the minimum necessary equipment, Rosso tells you with a soft smile. From what I see, you have already equipped yourself with weapons and armor, so let's get you registered as an adventurer. It seems that you have already been approved as a qualified adventurer. Rosso hands you the registration form and a pen and asks you to fill in your name and details. Do you have a name for your character? Please write a name you'd like for your PC in the character name box in the upper left corner of the character sheet. You may also choose your own age and gender. The age of adulthood and maximum life expectancy will depend on the kind of humanoid called a lineage that you are playing. So I've opened up a second tab of the same, but moved to... So they've got several, depending on the race you want to be, character sheets. You've got human, with their abilities, Lycant, elf, Tabbit, which is kind of like, try to think of a example. Well, you can see here like a bunny card character, like, and that's what you have. So now one of the things they said we would need is like tokens to put onto the map. I haven't got a printed out map, so we'll have to kind of fluff it a bit with that, But I'm going to be boring, and I'm going to go with human. Name. We'll go with, because I read this in the book the other day. Was there one I was reading to my son? Yes, it was. Butnick. Buttnick. Butnick. Or is it Buttnik? Anyway, pretend I've written that. So you can see I'm a human, and we'll go with 18. We'll go with 18. And then let's take a look. Now roll the dice to determine a brief profile to add to your character's background. Alternatively, you may choose your histories and reasons for the tables or come up with your own. This profile is meant to guide you in the story and does not affect offer advantages or disadvantages. If you elect to roll for your history and adventure reason, roll 2 dice and refer to the table. Okay, so here we see the dice roller. Number of dice. Roll dice. 2 and a 6. Okay. So we find 2, 6. You had a serious heartbreak. Oh, woe, it's me. My heart has been broken. Oh, no. However shall I go on? I must find a new thing to pour myself into. I shall become an adventurer. Anyway. Blah, 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 blah. Tables of reasons for going on an adventure. Roll again. Okay. 6 and a 3. 6-3. You were forced to adventure. Okay. Interesting. So I had my heart broken, and I just said that, I'm doing this to try and find something else to do in my life, but I'm also being forced to do it. Interesting. Okay. Maybe we'll redo. I don't know. Let's try that again. 6 and a 3 again. Jesus. Fine, we'll stick with that. Okay. Moving on. Seeing you finish writing your name, Rosso, the head of the guild branch, smiles at you. Rosso says, now then, let's talk about work. Right now, we have an urgent but simple request. There are a variety of requests for adventurers, such as eliminating monstrous threats, searching for people, excavating ruins, and escorting vulnerable travelers. Adventurers Guild branches, managers, all these requests and introduce them to adventurers such as you. You don't have an adventuring company yet, so Rosso introduces you to a request that you might be able to solve by yourself. Recently, Scarbon goblins attacked a nearby village. All the villagers worked together to fight them off, but it seems that one of them escaped. If these Scarbon goblins are left alone, they will soon gather their friends and attack again. We cannot leave them like this. Rosso continues. Worse, one goblin seems to have escaped to a nearby cave. The villagers have neither the ability nor the strength to pursue the goblin into the dark cave. Pfft, wusses. Rosso sighs before finishing. So I ask you to confront this goblin. Scarborn is a general term for certain monsters that have been hostile to humanoids such as elves, tabbits, and lycans since the age of mythology. They are horrifying monsters that strongly hate blah, 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 cannot be left alone, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Want to know more about goblins? To find out, make a skill check. Okay. PCs perform a variety of actions. So this is when we have to roll dice and see if we roll high enough to be able to succeed or not. In such a case, it's a skill check. This is monster knowledge. So knowledge sage. In such cases, you may be asked a skill check, and blah, blah. Skill checks are usually something like this. Swordwell uses brackets to help players know when a scenario's text is referring to a specific skill check, magic spell, or other in-game element. An example above, monster knowledge check, tells you the specific name of the skill check. Inside, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so if there's a slash after the standard value, you must have at least one class level in the standard class, blah, blah, blah. Final number shows the target number for the skill check. So is this meet or beat? How do these pieces fit together to perform a skill check? The target number is the total required to succeed. If you attain a check value equal to or greater, you exceed in your skill. Okay, great. Meet or beat. The target number, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so determine roll 2D and roll the PC standard value called for in skill check. So that was knowledge. Okay, fine. We can get rid of that. Okay. A roll of 2 6s is called an automatic success, no matter how high the target number is, even 100. Oh, okay. That's interesting. So if you roll 2 6s, then it doesn't matter. You get it automatically. Rolling 2 1s is called an automatic failure, no matter what standard value you have. The check value is treated as 0. You absolutely fail. This may be very disappointing, but you gain 50 experience points when you roll an automatic failure. This reflects learning something. Oh, okay, so you get experience points when you fail. Interesting. Okay. So we need to roll 2d6. 1 and a 3. Okay, we get 4. The check is 5. So do we get bonuses? I mean, I'm assuming a standard value, blah, blah, you have to do at least one level on it. If you don't have the standard value, add nothing to the 2D roll. Okay. So knowledge. Do we have dexterity, intelligence? Knowledge 0. I failed the skill check. Okay, great. Let's see. Make the following check. I did that. I failed. Unfortunately, you have no class, levels, and sage, and have monster knowledge 0, so you cannot add anything to your roll. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. If your check was less than 5, you don't know much about Scarborn goblins. Since you don't seem to know much about them, Rosso will tell you more. You can look at the Scarborn goblins data on page 49. As before, you will not be able to apply the enemy's weaknesses. Rosso speaks. Goblins are not weak monsters, but you will be strong enough to defeat them. He holds out a map. Here is a map to the cave and a floor plan of the interior. This cave has been investigated before and its structure is known. It is not a very large cave and there is a dead end at the back. As long as you don't get caught by surprise or dark, you shouldn't have any major problems. If you are successful defeating these goblins, I will pay you a contingency fee of 200 gamels. A week's worth of preserved food costs 50 gamels, silver coins, so that should be decent pay. You'll receive the map, accept the offer, and self immediately for the cavern. Now it's time for your first adventure! Time to go to the cave. The damp air caresses your cheeks as you peek into the cave. But which cheeks? It's dimly lit and looks like it could use a light. The items in possession column of your character sheet, you have a check mark in the adventurous sets section. It indicates that you are in possession of a torch and a tinderbox. Adventurous set. Here we go. Backpack, wall skin, blanket, 6 torches, tinderbox. Okay, great. Blah, blah, tinderbox starts fires. Okay. Sorry. The torch burns for 2 hours and provides ample light. It also fills one hand when in use. But when the time comes to fight, it can be thrown on the ground and will not go out immediately. Okay. Declare that you will light a torch and move forward. In this scenario, you don't have to worry about the fire going out over time or keeping track of numbers of torches remaining. Many Scarborn have dark vision, which means that they can see things in the dark. They may choose to attack you from the cover of darkness. Be on your guard. Inside the cave. This appears to be a natural cave with a loose curve. Because of this, it is impossible to see all the way to the back. There are many shadows, and it would not be surprising to find a small goblin lurking anywhere. You can listen to hear if goblins are lurking in nearby shadows by sensing their breathing. Ranger skills that excel in outdoor activities are often limited in caves and indoors. However, listening is equally effective indoors. Attempt a listening check. Okay, so observation, scout, ranger, 8. Okay, so dice roll. Okay, 6. Okay, so observation 3. Does it say ranger? Yeah. Find your standard value for social character. Notice it is 3 because you have a class level ranger. You can add your standard value to your roll. Okay, so 3. Okay, that means the total is 9. Cool. Great. That means we and add 3 of your observation standard value is your check value. If your check value was 8 or more, we got 9. You hear a sound like someone is eating from around the bend. It could be a scar-born goblin. If you have noticed the presence of the goblin, you may try to quietly sneak up on them. This could offer an advantage against the goblin. You can perform a high skill check to do so. So we do movement, scout, ranger. Okay, so first of all, oh, automatic failure. Jeez, okay. With less than 9, you made loud footsteps due to the bumpy ground of the cave. The goblin notices your approach and takes up a weapon to defend themselves. If you didn't even hear the goblin in the first place, oh well, we did. So anyway, the battle will begin immediately. Combat preparation. Prepare your equipment. Monster knowledge check. What do you know about your enemy? Well, bugger all. Initiative check. Decide who attacks first and who attacks second. Okay. Combat preparation. This time is to perform simple actions such as pulling out your sword out of a sheath. You are now holding a torch, so you may want to release it to the ground and switch to your sword and shield. Even if the torch falls to the ground, it is still useful as a source of light to illuminate this place you can pick up after the battle. So, hand leather armor, buckler. I don't think I have a shield. Well, buckler is the shield, isn't it? So, okay, we'll do that. Sword and shield. Knowledge check. This is check to find out the name of the enemy, what kind of attack methods they have, what weaknesses are, and so on. Since you studied Scobbon Goblins earlier, we will skip this check. Okay. If one of your party members has class levels in Sage and performs a successful check, then all the players can apply the effective prescribed in the monster data level weakness. In the case of Scobbon Goblins, this means that every time they receive magic damage, they receive 2 extra points. There are different attack numbers for different monsters. Initiative check. Initiative check determines which side attacks first in the battle. These checks are resolved as all skill checks are using initiative. Okay. Notice there are no class requirements for initiative. Unfortunately, the human warrior standard value for initiative is 0, so you can only use the value of the 2D roll. Okay. 6. Okay. Where did the target number of 11 come from? If you look on the Scarbon Goblin's monster data on page 49, you'll see it has initiative 11. That indicates the target number for your initiative check. Well, I did not beat that. If you only succeeded in your height check, which I did not, the goblin was so engrossed, but if your initiative check value is equal to or greater than Scarbon, you can go first, which we don't. We go second. Initial placement of forces. Take out the battle sheet. Okay. In battle, allies stand in either the allied rearguard area or the frontline area, while enemies stand in either the frontline area or the enemy rearguard area. This is new to me. Individuals in the frontline area attack each other with swords, bites, and other close combat maneuvers. Individuals in the rearguard attack each other. I was looking at this. Let arrows and spells fly from their respective sides. After the winner of the initiative check has placed their troops, the second player places their troops. Scarborn goblins stand in the frontline area because they can only attack melee attacks. You should also stand in the frontline area because your weapon is also for melee. To represent this placement, put your token, Scarborn monster token, in the frontline area of the battle sheet. We will pretend we've done that. It's time to attack! From this point on, each player takes turns playing one move at a time. The first attacker takes their turn, the second attacker takes their turn, and so on. Once all attackers have taken their turns, play returns to the first attacker's turn. A round is when every attacker can take a turn. If you're the first to attack, no. If you're the second attacker, go to avoid enemy attack. Okay, so we can't do that. So we need to go to... have I missed it? Is it this one? Avoid enemy attacks. Okay, hang on. avoid enemy. Okay, yeah. On page 16. The Scarborn Goblin is attacking you, but you have a chance to avoid the attack. Follow the steps below to determine if you can and how much damage you take if you fail. Note your opponent's accuracy. Accuracy checks for enemies do not involve a dice roll, but rather a fixed value in parentheses. A Scarborn Goblin's accuracy is 10. Okay, make an evasion check. Make an evasion check, evasion 10, and calculate your check value. The Human Warrior's evasion standard is 5, so we add that to your evasion check's 2D roll. Okay, so 5 plus my dice. 9. Okay, great. So we beat that. Compare your check value, blah, blah, when evading Goblin's attack. Success is achieved when your check value is 10 or more, which it was. As we're attacking, evasion ties are treated as misses. Okay, so if you tie, it's a miss. If your evasion check succeeds, the enemy's attack cuts through the air and misses you. Great. You take no damage, and the enemy's turn is now over. It is now your turn. Refer to let's attack the enemy. Okay. Okay, so your only weapon is your bastard sword. To attack, 5 steps below. Make an accuracy check. Then if you hit, 10 damage, and if you miss, the attacker's turn. Okay, accuracy check. So on the character sheet, look for accuracy, standard value. In your case, it's a 5. So accuracy. Here we go. Accuracy, 5. Roll 2d, add 5 to your check value. 7. Okay. 7 plus 5. So we win that. If you hit the target, continue to determine damage. Okay, the amount of damage you inflict on an enemy by your weapon is determined as follows. First, roll 2d and check the power table for the weapon. Your bastard sword has the table below. Cool. Okay. So 9. Okay. Okay, the top row is the result on the 2d, which would be that. The lower row is the damage caused by the weapon for that 2d result. If the roll was a 2, it wasn't, you deal no damage, but I do get 50 experience points. Okay. So, if your result is equal or greater than your weapon's critical value, you score a critical hit. Okay, to make things easy, critical hit 2d are highlighted in red. Okay, we didn't do that. Your bastard sword has a critical value of 10, which we didn't hit. Note the enemy damage of the weapon. So we got 9, so it's 6. Okay, roll 2d again and add that damage to the previous result. The current damage weapon, then roll 2 again and add that damage to the previous result. Do we get 2 goes? Oh, okay. Oh, this might be... Okay, so let's do that again. 8. Okay. If the duty roll is greater or equal than the critical value, you can roll again and continue adding the damage to your prior result. As long as you continue rolling a critical hit, you can continue... Oh, that's if you get criticals. Okay, when you can roll a critical hit, stop rolling... Okay, so we didn't get a critical hit. Okay. Okay, all this is if you get a critical hit, so that doesn't work. We just did 6 damage. Okay, next you can add the extra... Human Warrior's extra damage is +4. Extra damage. Okay, so that's 10 damage. Subtract the final... Okay, so defense represents protection provided by armor, shields, and hard skin, and other defensive barriers. On this monster data, we see a goblin has a defense of 2, which means 2 is subtracted from any damage afflicted upon 1. So, in other words, 8 altogether. Subtract the final total attack from a character's hit points value. When the character's hit points drop to 0 below, it will fall in battle. If you defeat the goblin, go to after you defeat the Skull Goblin. Now your turn is over. Avoid enemy attacks. Okay. How much health does the goblin have? Does it say here? Nope. Okay. So, goblin. Scargorb. Scar-born Goblin. Okay, here we go. HP, hit points 16. Okay, so we've done half the damage. Okay, now it's so we've done one round and now it's his turn again. So we now need to make an evasion check. So we know we need to beat 10, so we need to roll. So we've got 7. Back to my character sheet. So evasion, wasn't it? Where? Evasion 5. Okay, so we don't get hit again. Great. Okay, back to attacking. So we need to roll. Okay, 8. Then plus accuracy 5. So we beat the check of 10. Okay, so now we can go on to doing the attack. So now we need to roll 6. Okay. So 4 plus extra damage 8. But then we know that the goblin has damage 2. So we did 8 in the previous round, and we're doing 6. So now it's 14. Okay. So now we're back to having to do evasion because it's their roll. Okay. 6 plus evasion 11. So we missed their attack. So now we need to see if we can hit them. Okay. 5 plus 5, 10. That's a tie. So okay, unlike ties a tree as a failure, so we miss. Okay, there go again. I mean, okay, this is like very like back and forth, back and forth. When you have a party, you have people going around, and also this is just me trying to hit the sword over and over. Usually in these types of games, you would have it so that you might have synergy. In other words, someone would do an action that would then help another player to perform their action. Like trying to knock someone down so that someone else can go in and attack, for example. Or you might then, like say for a spellcaster, switch to a different spell, you know, so you're not just doing the same thing. What we've just been doing here probably seems very dull. It's just back and forth, but that's just because it's me and one other player, and all I'm doing is just swinging a sword and nothing else. So when you have a party game, or you have a different class, not just a warrior, it's probably going to be very different. So I'm saying this is not a true reflection of what, if you were ever to play this kind of game, what it would be like. Anyway, so 5, so that was the previous go, wasn't it? So now, apologies if I've forgotten if I already rolled or not. 9. And actually, hang on. So 5, that was no, this is to avoid, isn't it? So I'm doing evasion now. So yep, we evade. So now it's my go again. 7 plus 5, so we managed to hit. Roll for the attack. 6 plus 4. No. 6. 4 plus 4, 8, minus the 2, 6, but then that means we've now defeated the goblin. Okay. Once we win. So if you succeed, we're not doing that. Blah, blah, blah. Come on. Okay, after you defeat the Scarborn Goblin, you can take loot from the goblin. By the way, this is what to do if your HP hits like 0 or 1 or whatever. So we're not going to look at that at the moment. After you defeat the Scarborn Goblin, you can take loot from the goblin. Look at the loot table at the bottom of the monster data and roll 2d. You can get a loot corresponding to the roll. While loot may represent objects in baubles, it can only be sold. The number of proceeds is the number of Gamel silver coins you gain by selling it. Okay, so roll 2d. 5. And let's go back to the goblin sheet. And okay, 5. A crude weapon, so we get 10 gamble for it. Cool, okay. After you take the loot, you hear a voice behind you. It seems that you have defeated the goblin without incident. You look back and see an elf priest approach you. Russo asked us to check on you because he was worried about you being alone, but it seems it was a needless worry. Behind him are 2 more adventurers, one resembling a human-like rabbit, and the other with ears and tails of a beast. With a sense of relief, you realize these adventurers are all friendly. It's time to get out of this cave. Together you walk into the sunshine of the outdoors. Yay! All 3 adventurers you encounter are humanoids, but they are not human. Elves are slender and tall, with long pointed ears. They are quick and dexterous with their hands, and they tend to be good at magic. This elf is dressed in priest garb and wears the holy symbol of Tidon, the god of the sun. Tabbits are a lineage of humanoids that resemble walking, talking rabbits. While they might be diminutive and physically weaker than other lineages, they tend to be cunning and excel at being magicians. This Tabbit appears to use some kind of magic, but it isn't obvious. But it isn't. What that magic is yet. I think that might be. Okay. Lycans are a lineage with the ears and tails of beasts. They have the supple body of a great predator and are often excellent in scouting. You are guessing this Lycan is a grappler, judging from the minimal weapons they carry. Now that you think of it, perhaps these 3 would be good adventurers to work with. As if they read your mind, the elf offers some advice. For now, let's go back to the Blue Nose. If you like, it isn't a bad idea to go on another adventure together. You can decide whether you're not in agreement with the elf or not based on how your adventurer feels. Either way, you should return to the Adventurers Guild branch in Halves to report your finding. What will your next adventure be? Those thoughts in mind, it's time to return home. Because you completed the request, you receive 200 gamels, silver coins, as a reward from Rosso at the Adventurers Guild branch. Please note, the reward of 200 gamels plus loot on your character sheet. So 10, because the crude weapon we could sell for 10. What you do from now on is up to you. If you decide to go on an adventure with a new group of friends, someone, or yourself, can be the GM and try the next scenario. If you're going to be the GM, it is often a good idea to read the scenario in advance, or you can choose to perform the role without rehearsal. Whichever path you choose, have a good adventurous life. This concludes Part 1, Game Primer and Solo Adventure. Cool. Okay. So, I mean, what did people think? So, intro scenario. That's for the groups session, but yeah. So, Sword World. Yeah, I hope this hasn't been too boring if you stuck to the end. Maybe you've been interested in tabletop RPGs but not sure what it's been like. So, because this only uses 2 standard dice, or D6s as they're known, whereas systems like Dungeons and Dragons will use D20s and D8s, D6s, D2s, D10s, you know, also different dice. Whereas Shadowrun uses bags of D6s. It's ludicrous how many you can use in that one. So yeah, like I say, it's this. You can download this for free from DriveThruRPG if you want to give it a go. Just look for Sword World. And yeah, I will catch you all next time. So take care.